Thank you very much. Yeah. Honourable Member.
Indulgence.
Yes, Honourable Member.
Dr. Friday, representing for Northern Grenadines, has just indicated to you his concern about certain rulings that we expected. Today I had expected, maybe on the announcements for the Speaker, that we would have heard something in that regard, particularly in regard to the very first one about the voting by the Attorney General on the election of the Speaker. Based on your last comment there's no definite word as to when such a ruling is likely. In the circumstances, the opposition will not participate any further in today's proceedings.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, honourable members, I beg to move on the Standing Order 12.5. That the proceedings of today's sitting be exempted from the provisions of the Standing Order hours of sitting.
Honourable Members, the question is that the proceedings of today's sitting be exempted from the provisions of the Standing Orders hours of sitting in accordance with Section 12, subsection 5. As many of that opinion say aye, many of the contrary opinions say no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it.
Sadly, on the most spurious of grounds, absolutely without any merit, they have chosen to absent themselves yet again from this august assembly. Mr. Speaker, there is a certain boring and unreasonable, even senseless repetition of this tactic of withdrawal. One withdraws from the House on a fundamental matter which goes to the pith and substance of governance. One does not withdraw from Parliament because of a pique. You don't do it in a fit of pique. You do not do it because you can do it. Because fundamentally, the people of this country have voted us in free and fair elections to be in this Parliament to represent them, to represent their interests, to represent the nation's collective interests. It is entirely improper for the opposition, because they have a quarrel over a minor matter with the Honourable Speaker, that like little children, they take up the stumps and the bat and the ball and gone. Or you're playing marble, they take up the goompa and go about the business. This really is a kind of infantilism which is quite dangerous to the body politic. And I'm hoping that the people of this country are paying attention. Politics is serious business to be conducted by serious people. It is not a branch of the entertainment industry. I know Carnival is coming on, but it's not a place for mass, whether old mass or Tuesday mass. It is a place where we deliberate and make decisions. It is a deliberative and decision-making body, a law-making body. Today, Mr. Speaker, I watched with absolute astonishment that they re-entered the chamber and offered no reason as to why they re-entered. The last time they stayed away, the time before, they stood to disrupt the parliament, and when their disruption, their planned disruption, did not have its desired end, they publicly proclaimed that they will not be coming back into the House. And in the words of the leader of the opposition, they will be protesting every single day when Parliament meets. But as the numbers dwindled, they had no choice but to crawl in back today. But they crawl in a manner where they offered no justification to their supporters or to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines as to why they left in the first place. And clearly, from their attitude from the very beginning, their seating arrangements and the manner in which they wanted to conduct themselves, gave all the vibes that they were spoiling for a fight, waiting for an opportunity to see if they could ramage it. They had none, so they actually had to try and create one. But today, I heard one member of the opposition asking a question of the Honorable Minister for Social Development and Family Affairs about children. And the question in part connected to the status of children. But they stayed away from the debate on the Status of Children Bill. These are not serious people. We have before us a bill which strategically is one of the most important to come to this Parliament, certainly in the last 10 years. A bill which contains a treaty, a revised Treaty of Bastille, which revised treaty has already been ratified and has commenced its operation as a treaty between consenting states from January 21st this year. But we have set ourselves a deadline for June 18th this year, the 30th anniversary of the original Treaty of Bastille, where we would want to be at a position where all the member states have put that which has been ratified into domestic law and therefore having the force of law. Mr. Speaker, this treaty, this revised treaty addresses matters of governance, it addresses the functional integration purposes of the OECS and their new areas of governance and restated areas of functional cooperation and expanded areas of functional cooperation, but very decidedly the protocol which is appended at the back of the treaty itself. This is the meat of the Economic Union, the Protocol of the Eastern Caribbean Economic Union. And the countries which have ratified the treaty for the purposes of the Economic Union are the 6 independent countries of the OECS and the 3 non-independent British territories of Anguilla, the British Virgin Islands, and Montserrat, that they are engaged in the OECS in the functional economic aspects. The functional aspects. And in the case of Anguilla and the British Virgin Islands, Anguilla and Montserrat are involved in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, because the BVI uses the US dollar as its currency.